Hello, hello. Conference play has kicked off and it did not disappoint. Plenty of bloodshed here in the final few weeks of September. And here we are with you, Mick Haley, Daniel Gilman, another episode of Six Rotations brought to you by SNA Sports, better equipment for a better game, Ren Athletics as well, helping to provide with some of this fantastic gear and giveaways every week for those of you that match up the best with our Six Rotations team of the week. And Mick, the top 10 has a bit of a scramble. Let's go ahead and start this show by showing everyone what the new rankings look like, trying to react from there because, Mick, in the Big 10, in the Big 12, in the ACC, we had huge matches, and one of the bigger jumble ups is Texas A&M jumping from 13 to 9, Minnesota from 12 to 10. Where do you like looking at? You want to start with the top five here, as Nebraska and Texas are the only two undefeateds left.
Yeah, and I like the top five. I have Texas ahead of Nebraska simply because I want Nebraska to prove themselves here with their schedule. I think Texas has beaten eight ranked teams with three freshmen in the lineup and a sophomore, and it's pretty interesting what they're doing. But they're playing 11 players, and it's really interesting that you can play that many players and keep everybody showing up at the right times. So I just have Texas first, Nebraska second, but most of the coaches don't agree. I believe Stanford's third, and I'll tell you why. Because both outsides now are playing really well, and both middles are playing well, and that really opens it up for Harvey on the right side. They have a freshman setter, which is a problem, but this week, uh, Julia Ruddens didn't, not Ruddens, Julia, help me.
For Stanford,
Yes,
the middle.
no, the left side.
Okay.
Elia
Yeah, Elio Rubin.
Rubin, sorry, Elia Rubin.
Couldn't have been further there, Mick.
Yeah, really. Elia Rubin did not play. I don't know if you caught that or not.
Oh, interesting.
And Julia Blashov, I believe is the name, came in 16 kills, 30 attempts, and two. That gives them a backup right or left side that they can play a 6-2 if they want to match up with certain teams. They can play 5-1. They really now have all the pieces to compete with the top two, Nebraska and Texas. So I like Stanford third. I like Pitt fourth. I'm still a little concerned that the setting's marginal just yet. I think it needs to improve a little bit. But Pitt is a standard 5-1 team. That's all they can do. But they're really the left sides are playing really well now. The middles are coming on. Both Jones and Kelly are doing a great job. And of course, you got Babcock, and she keeps bringing it, and she keeps bringing it, and she keeps bringing it. And so I have Pittsburgh fourth, and I have Kentucky fifth. Well, I love Kentucky's two left sides. They are studly. They hit the ball with velocity. They're usually high percentage. I worry, and I like their middles are coming on now too, but I worry about their setting being young. Really, the freshman setter is I think she's a freshman, a redshirt freshman, maybe, but one of the two. She is blocking well, but location is still not good in the transitions and the fast-moving part of the game. Having said that, still good enough for those left sides to terminate. Uh, what they've got is a smaller right side in Thigpen who really has to come and bring it every night that they need a big match. And that's the worry. But how bad is it to be number five? I have Kentucky number five. I think that's pretty good, and I think any one of those five teams can end up in the Final Four.
Well, before we review the opening week of conference play, I want to look ahead to some of these salacious matchups here to start October. Wednesday, we've got a great couple matches. Kansas and TCU both trying to figure out who really is the top dog in the Big 12. Of course, you've got Baylor as well staying in the hunt as we've got Baylor and Kansas on Friday. Texas will take on Georgia Wednesday and then Mississippi State Sunday. The Bulldogs, 11 and 1, just topped out my Gators this last week. But Mick, top two matches, both premiere. Nebraska, Penn State, Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox. And then Louisville goes out to Palo Alto to take on your beloved Cardinal there Sunday at 5 o'clock on ESPN. So with those couple matches, what stands out to you? Also, we've got Purdue against UCLA and USC on the road.
Yeah, I think the first one you mentioned was Penn State and Nebraska, and I believe that's no contest. Uh, I mean, you can only set Martin so many times, and she's getting 60 sets a night, and the kid's going to wear out here pretty soon. Nebraska can counter. One thing I didn't say about Nebraska that is very intriguing to me, Nebraska, if they wanted to, could match up with both of those big right sides and play a 6-2 in certain situations. I know they love their setter, and I know they like their rhythm with their 5-1. But if you just really wanted to match up and clobber somebody, I think they've got the personnel that could do that, and they've got three left sides that can play, along with those two great middles that they have. I think they have some other aspects to their team that they could throw at people. I haven't seen them use it yet, so this might be a time that they could do that to double up on Martin because Martin's going to come from the right front, the right back, and the left front when she's over there. So they really have to stop her. Otherwise, Penn State doesn't have enough arms to stop them. The second match, Louisville has an opportunity to move back into that top five. They're going to Stanford. They're on the road, but they have been. I felt like their system has been jumbled so far. They really haven't gotten down to where everybody knows who's going to play, when they're going to play, and how they're going to play. As Mesky gets that closer to stable, that gives them a great chance. I don't know why Ruben didn't play this weekend for Stanford, so that's something to watch with Louisville going into Stanford to see that match. And then the third one was Purdue and who?
Well, Purdue is going to, they just lost to Illinois in
Yep.
Mackey Arena. Illinois will take on Wisconsin on Thursday night in
Oh,
the
yes.
front end of a doubleheader on Big Ten Network. So we've got Wisconsin, Illinois at 8 Eastern, and then Purdue and UCLA. And so with that, let's go ahead and show the whole top 25 because UCLA is back in the picture for the first time since week two. They took down Penn State in 5 sets in Rec Hall this past weekend. I think that was a Sunday match for UCLA after USC took them to 5. So Purdue has to do that LA swing Thursday and Saturday on the road, both on Big Ten Network. It could be a really telling weekend for the Boilermakers and two statement opportunities again for UCLA and USC.
Yeah, I thought USC missed a golden opportunity. They had Pittsburgh, they had Penn State, and should have finished and couldn't. Uh, that I thought was something that I've been watching SC a bit. They only seem to play as well as their opponents play. They don't seem to take the game to a notch and say, "We don't care what you're doing over there. We're going to play our game and we're going to finish and we're going to terminate." I think when they get to that stage, they can really start dominating teams. They have a setter that can lead them, and I tell you, she's my favorite right now. She's the closest thing to Izzy Stark that we saw in a long time, and she really takes a bad pass and makes it an in-system ball. So that's a good one to watch. And I would say one thing about your mention of Wisconsin. Um, while Mimi Collier has just been terrific for these guys. She's shown up every night and brought 16 to 20 kills. But they have to have a second arm. And I see they've got a couple of players that are starting to perform, but not as consistently as they need to really attack this top five or six. So this would be a good time to watch Wisconsin to see if they take care of business this weekend also. You were going to show the top 20 here's or top 25
Yep.
here.
Yeah, we
So
could talk it through.
yeah.
Meanwhile, towards that bottom of the top 25, you see the slide from BYU. They lost to Colorado, and then Utah fell out of the top 25, also losing to the Buffs. So the Big 12 is in disarray right off the bat from that middle section. And as I mentioned, trying to figure out who can really take authority there. Baylor had a big win over TCU on Saturday, same day that Colorado swept Utah on the road. But Mick, let's go ahead and talk about some of the premier matches from this past week. And it starts with Pitt and SMU on Wednesday. SMU able to force five in a wild end to the fourth set, but then it was all Panthers on the road in Dallas. Pitt jumped out 5-0 in the fifth. Olivia Babcock, her connection with Brooke Mosier, is it too much to say that it might be purer than her connection with Fairbanks in the past few years?
Yeah, it might. And I've been a little critical of Mosier, thinking she needs to clean it up a little bit more, but she's certainly improved from the first week. And it seems like she's way more comfortable. And besides the connection with Babcock, she's also hitting a topspin serve, and she doesn't miss very often, and it's pretty good heat. So I think Mosier's set in now and being very comfortable. And I think Babcock was really uncomfortable early with her sets. Now she seems to not miss a beat. She's on the ball every time. So I think that's a good get by you and something for people to watch.
Yeah, Babcock hit 400 in both matches. She had over 50 kills combined, 6 points per set. I mean, it was a ridiculous outing for Olivia Babcock. I don't think it's too much of a guess to see who both of our opposite of the week might be, but we can push that to the end of the episode as Pitt then beat SMU at home in 4 sets on Sunday. And then, Mick, the two top undefeated teams, the last undefeated teams left in Division One volleyball, Nebraska swept Michigan and Maryland with ease. Bergen Riley passed Danny Busboom Kelly for fifth all time in assists. And like you said, they're going to take on Penn State and Rutgers. We may see 6 more sets this weekend. They are looking very, very smooth.
Yeah, I don't see anybody really taking Nebraska out. Nebraska could take themselves out, but that's the only way they're going to lose in the Big Ten right now. I think the Wisconsin match would be fun. I'd like to see Collier against Nebraska's best. Wouldn't that be nice? And that they're even fighting each other for attendance records. So that's good competition for the Big Ten right there. But I think Nebraska's they've got to figure out ways to challenge themselves with these matches.
Well, you put it nicely there because I think our comments section is always a little confused whether you give Nebraska the flowers that they deserve. But I think that sentiment right there, all you fans at home, Mick said that he doesn't think Nebraska is going to lose this year. I think that's pretty high praise from a guy that is quote unquote a Nebraska hater of sorts. But when you say, Mick, that they need to test themselves, I think you probably had teams that you felt was so good they can get complacent. Is that what you're kind of talking about here with Nebraska? They have to stay competitive
Yeah,
throughout the year.
yeah, and you, what happens is you just start to go on cruise control, and then all once you start making errors that you don't normally make, and then everybody says, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" And it's just a matter of concentration. And so, Coach Busboom probably is trying to figure out ways to challenge them either with statistics or challenge them with player substitutions or matchups or different ways, maybe keeping the score low. I noticed I watched Russ Rose when he was trying to go through that season where he didn't want to lose a set. I mean, he challenged his team in one of those four in a row national championships that Megan Hodge played on not to lose a set. And they took the challenge and went after it. I'd like to be in the Nebraska locker room, so to speak, to listen to what the challenges are. But like I said, they've got some things they can do with their personnel that they haven't shown yet. And that could be another way to kind of challenge the team to see how many different ways can we put heat on the opponents and still win. So I think that team's that good. I just think in the way that I mean 18 teams in the Big Ten and they're the top team. It's hard to get up for anybody but Wisconsin to really. And you don't want your team to get up. You want them to go out and execute and really make it a kind of an execution thing, but still have fun. Well, that's a heck of a management job to do, and it's really hard for coaches to do that and for players to sustain that and not think about what they're going to do after the match or what they're going to do on Saturday at the football game. So, it's a lot of different things come into play there with that team.
So from 1 and 57 of the 61 first place votes into the 2 spot where Texas sits, they grabbed four remaining first place votes, swept Vanderbilt, swept Missouri. Speaking of Missouri, they are in a bit of a free fall, 8-4 overall. I think Missouri is ranked purely because they keep losing to ranked teams as they didn't move from 21 to 21. They got smoked, Mick, in the fourth set at A&M. Do you see that earlier in the week on Thursday? A&M won the fourth set against Missouri 25-8 to finish off that match. So tell me about Texas, and then we'll talk a bit about Texas A&M that jumped into the top 10.
Well, like I said, Texas is playing 11 players. They have three really quality back row players, the libero and two backcourt subs, two Hoosiers in that group, incidentally. The libero is a Hoosier, and Gary, coming in from Indiana University, was a
Yeah.
libero as a backcourt specialist. They have a young Serbian back there who transferred in also. So they really put a backcourt out there to help you. And then you've got Torrey Stafford playing the best middle back in the country for a six rotation outside hitter right now. It's really an elite back row. Texas is also very huge at the net. The setter is 6'3". The both middles are 6'2" or 6'3". They can play a 6'4" in there, and the left side in Vanderwall is 6'3". Stafford, I think, it's 6'1", maybe 6'2", but plays at a pretty high level. So that's a team that's playing a lot of players, and I think I worry about too many moving parts because a couple of those parts don't function some night, then they have trouble. They also can play a 6-2. They've got a quality backup setter in Benny. They have a good attacking right side player they can bring in that's been there for 5 years now. And they keep practicing that for when they need to get out of rotations and things like that. The only, I think, worry is how the freshmen can keep their focus and throughout the first year of, well, a season like this with a lot of travel and that sort of thing. But right now, they look very, very good and they seem to take on challenges. And the thing that I've noticed is they don't make those errors at 13 through 17, like loss of concentration like last year. They seem to have good leadership. The coaches are seeming to coach up the positions really well. Every time out I watch, somebody's getting some bit of information, and they're getting better. So that's why I think Texas is quality. They have enough quality athletes to stay in there. Vanderwall has got to score more on the left side, but that's Texas. Um, Basically, and the freshman Spears on the right side is really good, and she hits out of the back row. She can play back row and hit, or they can come in with a defensive specialist. They've got a lot of things. So it's about calling the right plays at the right time and putting the right people in the right spots at the right time, I think, for Texas.
All right. Meanwhile, Texas A&M jumps into the top 10. They're a team similar to Arizona State. They both sit right there, and they've got matches coming up that feel like trap matches. Arizona State takes on Utah this week coming up. Texas A&M has a couple of those SEC matches, South Carolina, Alabama, and then they'll play Kentucky in 2 weeks on a Wednesday night in Bryan College Station. So that should be a good test to see where they sit once they face Kentucky. But when Lednicki isn't right, it feels like the middles are starting to step up for the Aggies.
Yeah, I think most of the coaches now everybody's got some pretty good arms on the outside. Now it's can we in system attack in the middle and open this up a little bit more and spread out the scoring a little bit more, and everybody's trying to do that. But here's the deal with A&M. I just think that group has always had a problem with going through a whole season and staying focused the whole time. They've already shown it once this year when they lost both times up in the Dallas area to TCU and SMU. And those are really good teams, but I don't want to play A&M in the first or second round. So wherever they're ranked, I don't care. Just don't put them in my bracket
Yeah.
because when they get to the tournament, they're talking about only focusing for 6 matches, and they will be one of the hardest teams to beat when they get to the tournament. So right now, whether you put them 10th, I don't have them at that high because I don't think they're locked in right now. Lednicki had good matches this last week. And she's really the thing that makes them go. But these other kids have to play and be consistent. Helmet and the middles, like you say, the setter has to continue to really work on location with that fast offense. She's really setting such a fast offense that it really depends on her being focused all the time and good passing. So I think while Texas A&M may be 10 to 15, the coaches have them 10. Um, there's also SMU, TCU, Texas A&M, Wisconsin, Louisville, all in that group of teams right there that I think you have to watch out for at the end of the season.
All right. Meanwhile, Naomi Glover is back and better than we wanted her to be, right? We were expecting this. She hit 300 in that 61 swings against Kansas. Arizona State came away with the victory in five against the Jayhawks. ASU will match up with Baylor a week from this week, and they've got that Utah matchup coming up this week. Meanwhile, Mick, let's go ahead and talk about our six rotations team of the week. As always, email us Sunday nights, Monday mornings, six rotations, spell out six at gmail.com. We've got a couple good contestants who sent in their teams this week. You cannot win more than once, but always good to send in your teams anyways. And Mick, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with your outside hitters of the week?
Well, outsides, I picked Blayshov from T Stanford, 16 for 30 with two errors coming off the bench to fill in for Elia Rubin, and I think she did a great job. And Mimi Collier got my attention for consistency. Week after week after week, she shows up with 15 to 20 plus kills, and they can count on her right now. She wasn't always able to do that at Oregon, but it seems like at Wisconsin, she is really hooked up with her setter, and she's able to bring the heat. So I like those two.
Okay, I've got Torrey Stafford for Texas. Had a perfect match against Vanderbilt, 14 kills, no errors, and then had 400 hitting efficiency against Missouri. So you've been praising Stafford all season. Her first time making her way into my team of the week. And then on the other side, Colorado deserves some love with the wins over BYU and Utah on the road. And how about Anna Burilovich. Let's go Burilovich. She averaged 7 points per set, Mick, hit over 330, had 22 and 19 kills against BYU and Utah, respectively, and a combined seven aces. So those are my outside hitters of the week. As we move to the middle, and I wanted to keep it kind of big game heavy here. So I've got Baylor's middle in Victoria Davis, who had just one error, 13 kills, and five blocks against TCU. And SMU's middle, despite losing, Favor Anyanwu had one error, 10 kills, and eight blocks in the four-setter against Pitt, and then had eight blocks in the five-setter as my two middles.
Yeah, I had favor also. I thought that's kind of a coming of her. Everybody's expected this kind of output from her when she was at USC last year, and now at SMU this year. But this is really one where she's gotten enough sets and gotten involved in the match to make a difference. So I thought she deserved that. And then Kara Cressy for Louisville, I think, is really the stabilizing factor for the Cardinals there, and she keeps getting it done over and over and over. And I just thought her weekend was good. She had 12 for 19 and only three errors. I mean, when the middles start getting set 20 times and more, and they get more than 50% kill, you're way ahead of the game, and it opens it up for your outside. So those are my two middles.
All right, Mick, let's move to the right side. I talked about it before. Olivia Babcock's numbers this weekend were ridiculous. Two double doubles against SMU, 6 points per set, and a 415 hitting efficiency over the two matches. Hands down, my outs opposite of the week. Malaya Jones on the other side. She played pretty well in one match, just couldn't keep it up in the other for SMU on the opposite side.
Yeah, actually, I liked both of those. I picked Babcock. I liked Martin's production, but I'm afraid Martin's going to run out of gas if they keep setting her 60 times a night. So we've got some opposites really doing battle for Player of the Year. We've got some left sides doing battle for Player of the Year. I mean, we've got some. That committee is going to have trouble. So yeah, I like Babcock too, and I picked back Babcock.
But a real honorable mention in Happy Valley at Rec Hall, taking some swings in practice. ESPN's Pat McAfee. That was a tremendous clip. You got to look it up. Everyone at home, search Pat McAfee Penn State volleyball. He took some rips from the outside, had a lot of fun before college game day football side over there. So that's a tremendous upheaval for this sport. We need to get more football, baseball, basketball personalities engaging with volleyball. I think it's certainly trending well. We've got Marcus Spears, on ESPN talking about his daughter and talking about, Texas volleyball and all that push. So to see Pat McAfee shout out Penn State volleyball on college game day was really fun. Mick, I'm going to head out to LA, and a trip to the Midwest this weekend went very well for UCLA as Lola Schumacher, the Wisconsin transfer, had 45 digs as the bro in those two matches over Ohio State and Penn State. she could be huge this week against Purdue, and she's my libero of the week.
I had Taryn Kirsch from Illinois who had 21 digs and a big upset over Purdue, a 3-1 there, over 5 digs a set, and I thought she had a lot to do with that upset for Illinois.
Yeah, I love it. How about your setter?
Oh, Reese Messer. I've just uh,
Yeah, you love
I
Messer.
just watched this kid go all over the court using her athleticism. But what I thought was unique there, we've got a lot of good athletic setters out there playing right now. Unique was her location on all of these bad passes that she was getting, and she was able to keep her team in the matches, and they had a chance to win both times this week, losing in five to Penn State and winning their second match on Sunday. So I like Messer a lot. I think everybody should keep their eye on her. She had a good weekend. That's my setter.
So you've got USC's setter. I've got Pitt setter, Brooke Mosier, over 100 assists in the two matches against SMU. Again, I wanted to give credit to the teams that played the best, and Pitt certainly stole the show this week with those two big wins, especially after SMU upset them as the number 1 team in the nation last year. Great bounce back for the Panthers there, continuing to show that the the ACC is theirs to lose. I'm curious to see how Pitt takes on Georgia Tech, because that's a team, Mick, that always plays them tight. Pitt Georgia Tech will be noon on Sunday on ACC Network. I'll have my eyes glued on that one. But as always, a great episode. We're going to journey into October and talk to you again next week. Our winner of the team of the week is Bethel. So congratulations to Bethel. Had Babcock, had Burlinovich, had Schumacher, had Mosier that was aligned with us. So congratulations there. Make sure to send in your team of the week to grab some swag and continue to support the show. Thanks so much. As always, he's Mick. I'm Daniel, and this is Six Rotations.